welcome back to Primetime Crisis. I'm Captain Logan.
I'm Eric.
Eric and I are just going to do a couple of things today. I've actually got some other things listed, but we ended up with an insane list of things, and this is probably going to turn into the longest omnibus we've ever done. So, you're welcome. And so a few things I'm going to talk about next time. Vince and I are going to tackle Punisher Season 2. We've got a date set to do that next week, and we'll post that as either part of the next omnibus or just by itself. I'm not sure yet, but that'll happen in the not-too-distant future. I'll talk about the end of Green Lantern Animated, the animated series next time. I finished that series. It's great. I want to talk about that. And if Eric gets a chance to watch the Doom Patrol pilot, we'll talk about that. I have watched it, but Eric hasn't seen it yet. And again, we're running out of time. So I'll just say it's really interesting. I don't know if I like it or not. It's heads and shoulders above Titans. It makes me not as concerned that everything on DC Universe with their original programming is going to be terrible. There's not a house style of awful. It doesn't look like. It looks like different teams are doing different things. I think you just have the people making Titans to blame. It seems like probably like the opposite of the Warner Brothers thing, where they don't have reins at all. They can do anything they want to, and that's what they made. That's sure what it looks like. And hopefully that's the case. They don't skimp out on the weirdness with Titans. With Doom Patrol. They certainly do not. And Brendan Fraser's really good.
Interesting.
Which is
which is a big deal because you don't like him.
Because I don't generally like him. Yeah. I like what he's doing with what is it, Machine Man? Yeah. A lot.
No, Robot Man?
Robot Man.
Machine Man is Marvel.
I always do that. He gives a really different performance toward the beginning. There's like a time jump, and when he's been in the robot body for a while, he's doing a totally different thing with his voice. It's really cool.
Interesting.
And then he did when he first gets in the body. It's not even just physical him. Because I don't know if everybody knows this, but Brendan Fraser actually is physically in the show too. And anyway, I don't want to say it's great, and it's more vulgar than I think it needs to be. I think it borders on immature for the sake of immature. But I'm intrigued. I will watch more of it. So, that's good. Okay, so Eric and I are going to talk real briefly about the last couple episodes that we watched of the Orville. There's another one that's dropped that we haven't seen yet. And then after that, apparently the next one's a two-parter. Which is really cool, because they haven't done one of those yet.
Yeah, but if I remember correctly, when we looked at it, it's part 1, and then that's the mid-season break.
Yeah, okay. So that will probably come out this week, which means we'll probably get to talk about the next 2 on the next omnibus, and then we'll get to talk about that cliffhanger. So last couple episodes of the Orville, we're still doing mostly bottle shows, with not a whole lot going on with like missions and things.
They're
like,
never
half
bad,
the episodes
but
this
yet
season
to be great.
Have been kind of like mostly self-contained like romance stories, and
just like character things.
Yeah.
But it feels like something's missing. It feels like something needs to happen.
I think so too. I'm getting a little bit frustrated, honestly.
I'm hoping that
still entertaining.
That the two-parter will be the thing that the season needs to kick into the gear. But right now, it feels like it's kind of just spinning its wheels. Like, it's just... I don't know what it is that's... You know what it is? It's missing more of that connective tissue that TNG has. Like, I'm missing... Like, this doesn't have the Klingon stuff. Where, like...
All the connective tissue that's in the show right now, or at least mostly... Like, you got the Krill stuff, but we've only dealt with it a couple times. And we did get that Krill episode.
We haven't had a big Krill episode, though, yet. I mean, I guess this one was good, but...
No, that's true. I mean, we're not doing a whole lot of mythology and world building with it like we did the first time out. Because the Krill feel like every bad guy race ever in Star Trek all put together. And I've said this before, but like, they are the Klingons, and in some ways a little bit Romulan-y and very Cardassian. They're everything. And I just want us to keep building that.
They feel like if you gave just somebody that like vaguely knows Star Trek, like if you gave them a Star Trek movie, they're the bad guy race. Like, they're not dissimilar from the bad guys in Galaxy Quest.
But they're not generic, though.
I think they're a little generic.
Okay.
But I don't know if they're... I don't know if that's actually a problem.
When you say we don't have the connective tissue like the Klingons, you're spot on. What we don't have is the politics. We don't have the Federation Klingons politics with any species, and they're doing.
And we also don't have Romulans or like we're not. It doesn't feel like the universe is being built on. They're doing a good job of fleshing out the characters. They need to start fleshing out the universe.
Yeah, and like we're getting a little bit more here and there about what is it, Motless?
Is that the with the security?
Bortus.
Yeah. Oh, Bortus.
Yeah. And yeah, like we went to Alara's homeworld, and so we know a little bit more about them. So I guess there's some world building here and there, but it seems like most of the connective tissue is just like breaking new ground and breaking the status quo with character stuff.
Yeah, it feels like it's kind of run in place. That needs to do something to change things up.
What do you think of the new girl?
I don't know enough. I don't dislike her.
Yeah, same here.
I like the energy that she brings.
And she's a totally different personality type from
Alana. Yeah.
Does it bother you that she's the same race, or do you not care?
No, that was fine.
Is that right?
That feel. I don't know. Like I feel like it gets away with it because it's a comedy. Like it's almost commentary of like. Yeah, we just replace this character with a different character, just kind of the same character.
Yeah.
Like I don't mind that as a joke. This show gets away with a lot because it's a comedy.
But the problem is, like we keep saying, it can't decide how much of a comedy it is.
Yeah. But I like her. She needs an episode.
Yeah, and I'm sure she will get one before the season's out.
Yeah.
So the last episode we watched is I mean let's break these two down real quick. You've got one of them is pretty good and works, and one of them doesn't really work, but is a cool idea in the first place. So you've got the one because I guess the Krill episode we must have talked about last time because I think we only watched 2 episodes.
I'm pretty sure we talked about the Krill episode last time.
Yeah, I think so. But anyway, so you have the astrology episode. And then you have the Doctor dating the robot episode.
Okay, so the astrology episode is a great idea that makes no sense.
Because of the fact that star alignments are different on different planets.
So, for everybody that didn't watch, this is a planet that believes, like, fanatically in astrology. That, like, your sign represents who you are, and there's a bad sign. Anyone born under that sign
has to go to concentration camps.
Has to go to concentration camps because they're inherently violent, evil, and bad. And we find out that
and they all agree that they deserve to be there.
Yeah, because that's just how it is.
Which I liked.
Well,
that was good.
But Bortus and who's the first officer? I can't think of what her name is.
Kelly.
Kelly. Yeah, Bortus and Kelly are both born under the sign, and therefore they're evil, and they're sent to the concentration camp. They don't even let them leave. They send them to a concentration camp, and they're like, "How dare you bring us? You're from space. You should know." And I'm like, okay, they're advanced enough. They should understand that stars will be different in different parts of the galaxy.
Because we should also mention, it's a first contact situation.
Yes.
The reason we get there in the first place is because they get to the technological development to send out a message, and once instead of warp drive, and I think this actually makes a little bit more sense, honestly, the way Orville does it is, you don't have to be warp capable, you just have to know there is probably life out there and send out a signal. And we will come to you and make first contact if you can do that.
Yeah.
That makes a lot more sense than the arbitrary, we can go to warp.
Yeah, I agree.
Thing,
I agree.
I never thought to criticize until I saw that, and now I'm like, I don't know if that actually makes a lot of sense.
But so the problem is that stars are different in different parts of the galaxy, and even like if you move, like stars are not always going to be in the same place, so they wouldn't have the same constellations, and these people should know that.
Yeah,
scientifically they should know that.
Yeah.
So, like, the bad month could be different for, like, a different planet, right? Like, even though they think that everyone believes in astrology, they have to also, like, they would have to think that they just have different astrology, right?
Yeah.
It just doesn't make any sense, and the ending is real rushed and doesn't work.
Like, I don't mind that a society like that would still have superstitions.
Because it's a really cool idea for a society.
Yeah, and so like, I don't think it's fair to say, like, just because they're they understand space and they're trying to explore it and stuff means that they would get rid of all their superstitions. Like, that's not true.
No.
We haven't,
Yeah, but they should understand how space works. Like, they're far enough advanced, they should understand that, like, the stars would be different from different places.
And it's bizarre that it never comes up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how's that not Mercer's argument?
Yeah, because
strange.
all they do is like make fun of them and talk about how dumb it is.
Yeah.
They don't try to present like what I think is the most obvious argument.
And it feels like an episode that thinks it's a comedy episode, but actually isn't.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think they think they're getting comedy mileage out of that, but it's not funny. It's just a dramatic situation.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good idea. I've never seen it.
Yep. No, it seemed like a great idea. It just
it's
not executed at all.
Immediately.
And then falls apart even more with the climax.
Yeah.
Which is just rushed and almost off screen.
Yeah.
Where they have the fake thing with the star.
Oh yeah, that didn't
doesn't make
sense.
Any
yeah,
sense.
Like, we make up a new star and then we change the constellations. And also,
no, it's because the star went away and they put the star back.
That's what it was. Right.
And it also seems to have a fundamental misunderstanding of superstitions like this.
Yeah.
That they're like, well, the reason that this started is because the star went away. That's talking like early history, if not prehistory, like dawn of like superstitions kind of a concept. Like, it's at least 1,000 years ago, if not 4. I don't think most people at that point would know the genesis of that superstition. They just know that anyone born in the bad month under this sign is bad. I don't think most people would know. We believe that because eons ago the star went out, and therefore that's the bad month.
And you think if they got that, they would realize it was a superstition?
Yeah. So I don't think the conclusion like works at all.
And then the other one, I have issues with, but I think it's mostly pretty solid.
I agree. I think it works because it's a comedy. Like, most of my criticisms, if it's a drama, I have more criticisms than I do, but it gets a little bit more leeway because it's a comedy.
This one's kind of a riff on TNG's In Theory, where Data tries to date a girl and ultimately it doesn't work out. This does the twist on that, and where by the end they actually keep dating, and that's my favorite part about it because I didn't expect that.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a thing I've never exactly seen before. The idea that his programming is like less wonky and complicated with her in his life, and that's kind of tantamount to I have feelings for you. And so like he doesn't have to, we're talking about the robot, he doesn't have to develop, why can't I think of his name right now? This is not coming to me.
I had it, then you said you couldn't think of it.
Yeah, but anyway, he doesn't have to like develop actual feelings.
It's almost breaking love down scientifically.
It's great.
Where he works Isaac. Isaac works with the doctor a lot during the day and like helps out with her kids and stuff. And it's like all of this is rooted into his programming.
It's become routine.
Yeah. So he deletes all of his like memories of her, and it doesn't matter. But all of that stuff is still built into his routine. You can't just delete it that easily because it's part of his life now. And so it's like scientifically breaking down, like really analytically, like almost like in a Dr. Manhattan-y way of like like literal like love and entanglement.
Like love broken down to like ones and zeros.
Mm-hmm.
But it all kind of comes out to be sort of the same thing. Not that he's like necessarily actually really in love with her, but then when you get to the end and he is able to be creative and does the rain thing on the bridge, which is weird but sort of romantic. It makes you wonder, like a lot of classic sci-fi things with robots, if maybe he is accidentally breaking past his programming and developing a soul. It's pretty good. My big issue with it is the Doctor is very mature about the fact that she's dating a machine and that he doesn't understand feelings until suddenly there's a light switch, and when he spurns her, she just freaks out
because she goes on one date and is in love with him.
Yeah.
Like capital letters love, and the problem...
No, you're right. That's the real problem, is that she lets herself get emotionally involved after one date to a degree that I just don't buy she would.
I agree.
They think it works because of the minuet thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know about minuet. Okay, so that's a woman in TNG that is a hologram that Riker kind of falls for, even though he knows she's a hologram, and I think they think they're doing the minuet thing, but they rush it real hard. So because like she doesn't like gradually fall in love with him. She's trying the dating thing.
She wants to see if it can work because she knows what she's getting herself into.
Mm-hmm. And then they go on and it makes her look superficial because they go on the holodeck and the simulator, and he's able to make himself look human, and then we get to see what that actual actor looks like, and he's great.
Mm-hmm.
He puts in a great performance. I'm really glad we got to see what it looks like. And then we get the Norm Macdonald cameo, which is brilliant.
Norm Macdonald cameo is so good. It's so good.
It's really funny. Where we also get to see Yaphet do the same thing, and he just turns into Norm Macdonald. We see physical Norm Macdonald. God, I hope they do that again. It was great.
Me too.
But anyway, it's like now that I can go on the holodeck with you, and you're a cute guy, and I can sleep with you, I've just like instantly fallen in love with you.
Mm-hmm.
And when you've decided that it makes sense to leave, or I remember what it was. He's not interested in continuing, because it was just an experiment to him.
Mm. Yeah, he's just gathering data for research, and
he's been upfront about that the entire time. He told her that, like,
yeah, but she views a lot of that stuff as like cute. Where we're like it's cute how he puts things because it's always like super scientific and things like that.
But once he leaves, it's real, and she can't handle that. I think she's thrown under the bus a little bit.
And they do make the. They do make the case that I made before they did of the like, yeah, but that's not all the data, because you're like, I have all the data that I need, and it's like, yeah, but the relationship is constant, it keeps going. That's one date and sleeping together is not the full arc of a human relationship, and that's kind of so he decides to just keep getting data.
Yeah. I don't expect that to ultimately work out. Do you?
I don't know.
Or I guess
because I'm still waiting for the reveal that Isaac's evil.
Oh. Okay.
Because he's gathering data.
I'm not.
He's gathering data for his superior race.
I forgot all about the whole superior race thing,
His entire race is superior. I don't mean like evil. I think there is a turning point with Isaac that we are building to.
Or the way they'll play it is his race is like that and he's changed.
Yes.
It's more likely they'll do that.
Yes.
Still fun. I'm still wanting to watch it week to week, but
because what we're reminded of in this episode that I'd forgotten about was he says they're gathering data until they make the decision of whether or not they're going to join.
Oh yeah, because they haven't decided if they're joining.
Which puts a deadline on it, which makes me believe that when they get to that point, either they will join, which will be boring, or they'll be like, not only are we not joining, we've decided you're a problem.
Yeah. Okay, I promised that I would talk a little bit about Discovery. I forgot to do it last time. We had so much stuff, I just didn't get to it. I really did forget it. I had it listed, and we had a long Primetime Crisis, and then we got to the end, and I was like, oh my god, I didn't do Discovery at all. So 5 episodes already. I'm going to be brief about this. There's a lot I could say, but I'm going to really get down to brass tacks and just basically give you a kind of a few major details about the season and give you kind of a yay or nay on it. So let me actually start with the yay or nay. It is better than last season. It is not what I was hoping it could be based on the trailers for this season. I thought...
but remember, we're out to the back half where they completely changed creative staffs.
No, they've already done it. I mean, that's only after the first 2 or 3 episodes, I think.
I thought it was 6 in.
If it's 6 in, then who knows what it ends up being down the road. I don't know.
Yeah. There's a lot to keep up with behind the scenes on this.
There is, and it's so, and they're so hush hush about it, and I don't believe it's difficult to believe anything you hear, and I don't know. So anyway, you can't trust trailers, and obviously they were trying to sell this as a lighter season. I think partly because of the Orville, they tried to make it look a little bit more like that. They're bringing in familiar characters, familiar faces, but not like actors you've seen before. But like Pike is here now, and we're gonna get this. We still haven't gotten to Spock yet. They keep teasing him.
I've seen that picture.
They keep teasing him in all the advertising, but he's not here yet. It's weird. Like, I think he's in the Super Bowl advertising, and we've had an episode or two since then. I think 2 since then, and he's not there yet. But anyway, not like I just cannot wait to see their Spock, because
he's not going to be Spock.
He sounds awful, but I don't know. We'll see when we get there. We have had our first appearance now of number 1, who's Rebecca Romaine.
Ooh,
and
I like Rebecca Romaine.
She's fine so far. She hasn't gotten a lot to do. And they're not playing her as super stoic like she is in The Cage, but they already have so many of those characters.
That's weird, because you know she can play that because she played Mystique.
You'd think that's why they did it. She's reserved before she's stoic. But I mean, like, she does have a little bit of a smile. She's not straight up stoic. But, you know, first impression, I like her fine.
Sure.
But anyway, so I really thought there was the potential for the season to go in a completely different direction, and that it was going to kind of, like, stick with what it stuck with from first season, but kind of become a different show. It's not that. It is a somewhat lighter version with characters that get along more than they used to of the same show, and it continues to build on its mythology like it's great. There's a lot of stuff I would have gotten away from. They are doubling down on stuff that I think sucks. They're doubling down on the Klingon stuff. They gave them hair now, but with a throwaway line about why they have hair now, where they're like, after the war they went to a look with hair.
Does that make them look more like normal Klingons? Okay.
Like a tiny, I don't know. But like they're not Klingons, so I don't care.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like it's just it's a different show. It's got some Star Trek ideas kind of
reimagining,
superficially thrown in, and it's an action show with platitudes that it tries to be like an approximation of Star Trek, or maybe it thinks it's doing it authentically. But and I don't mean to be a prude about it, but it'd be nice if it would just, like, decide what kind of show it wants to be and run with it and not try to make everybody happy. And, because, like, if it was great at a thing that wasn't Star Trek, I could enjoy it on that level. You know what I mean? But it keeps shoving down my throat. We get the Star Trek philosophy, and we know that Star Trek's supposed to be morality plays. And the way they think a morality play works is, throughout the show, we just keep having characters throw philosophy and platitudes at each other and be mouthpieces for ideas. TOS definitely had some of that. TNG, early especially, had some of that. But we did eventually get past it, and it was still Star Trek. And just because you're set pre-TOS, I don't think
that's how I used to talk.
Yeah, but also it isn't. You know what I mean? Like I still felt like Kirk and Spock were
the movies certainly aren't that much.
No,
like that.
They're not. Like
maybe a little bit the first one.
Yeah, and usually when you had it in TOS, it was still like real concrete ideas where I was like, okay, it feels a little bit like I'm listening to like a paper on a subject, but like at least I know what people are saying. In this, I don't always even know what lines mean or like what they're getting at. Sometimes Burnham will just not stop doing voiceover. That's not even in a log or anything. It's just voiceover. X-Files had this problem too, where like occasionally X-Files would have like a quick voiceover where it was supposed to be like a log that Scully or Mulder were doing, and they were few and far between, and then when they brought the series back, they just started doing it all the time, and it was awful.
Yeah, because it used to be Scully's report that she was writing at the end on what Mulder was doing.
Yeah, and sometimes Mulder would have one too, if memory serves.
Yeah.
Now they got Burnham doing it almost every episode, and sometimes, and again, it's not even a log, and sometimes she'll just, like, go down a list of, like, emotions or concepts. Like, it's deep because she said love, or apathy, or whatever it is. It's embarrassing. Like, it's super pretentious, and it's kind of insulting, and it just drives me crazy. And like I said, doubling down on stuff that didn't work last season. So the big things are, I can't believe we did this early already. We've already brought back, because I guess he's just a regular character forevermore. We've brought back the... Maybe he's Klingon, maybe he's human. I don't know which thing goes where with Vogue/Tyler. He's back, and he's working for Section 31, along with Mirror Giorgio. So both of them are just mainstays now, and we're stuck with them, and I hated both of those ideas.
I thought she was getting her own show.
Okay, so CBS keeps announcing stuff. I think to try to make Star Trek look more relevant than it is. Because they announced that, they made a big deal out of it, and then very quickly we got more news that, because I take everything with a grain of salt, that, well, that is going to happen, but it's way down the line.
Oh.
We will never see that show.
Okay.
I don't think. Okay. I'll be very surprised if
I was just surprised, because I didn't know that. I was surprised that she would be a mainstay if they were working on spinning her off.
Yeah, so they've made her a Section 31 agent, and the head of Section 31 knows that she's the Mirror Empress, which is whatever. Like, I guess that makes sense, because, you know, it's like an evil organization. Like, it's not supposed to be evil, but they'll do, you know, whatever they have to, and justify the means. So she's got all these skills. They're going to use her. I guess I kind of like the plot point that he knows that. And then Vogue/Tyler is there, and everyone just knows that Section 31 is a thing, and are kind of not bothered by it. I cannot deal with a Federation that has its own Obsidian Order or Tal Shiar, and everybody knows about it, and they're just fine with it. That is really super cynical. And some people called Section 31 a really cynical idea already. I like the idea that the Federation works, but it's more complicated because of how human beings are, and that, like, they work autonomously, and we maybe don't actually need them, but they think that we need them.
It's the Kingpin in there that will.
And because they're autonomous, they don't. It's not really the Federation. I mean, I guess it is to a degree. The Federation being contradictory, but like, it's just it's complicated, and it's interesting, and I like the Shades of Grey stuff that DS9 does. This just straight up says, yeah, everybody's got to have Black Ops. And I don't like the idea of a Federation that is openly complacent, or openly complicit in that. You know, the idea that there are some people in the Federation, like, it's almost a conspiracy, where like they let it happen because they think it's necessary. That's just interesting. Maybe eventually you could do a story where you get rid of it. But like the idea that they're just all complicit with it is weird, and I don't like it. But I guess that's also harkening back to first season. I don't remember if they ever say Section 31, but like those black badges are there from the beginning, and it's just part of Starfleet. But that's the thing, is they're trying to be consistent with what they set up in the first place, even though it just doesn't feel like Star Trek, and it's not good. So they're trying to be closer to Star Trek by constantly, like, preaching the morals of Starfleet, while still kind of being a dark for the sake of dark show like they were before, but it's not as bad. It's not as dark. The special effects are still absolutely brilliant. There's a whole thing with the asteroid field, the first episode, that's great. There's a new character that's introduced that I thought they were going to get rid of that they have brought back, and I'm happy about that. There's this kind of female Bones type character. This real kind of crotchety, sarcastic lady who is an engineer that they pick up on an asteroid in the first episode of the season, and then she was just nowhere to be found. And I was like, oh yes, of course, you introduced this really cool, interesting character who's a lot of fun to watch, and then we never see her again. And then episode 4, which is my favorite episode of the season so far, and it's decent. I like a lot of things about it. Brings her back in. I guess she's just been hanging out on the ship for 3 episodes, just not doing anything. And she and Stamets immediately start butting heads, and then find a mutual respect, and it's kind of mature, and it's done well, and I was impressed with that. She's not in 5, so I guess she's just a recurring character, but I want her to be a major character, and I want to keep seeing that thing with her and Stamets, because it's good. We do a thing with Saru in that episode, everything is too sappy, everything is over the top, but on paper I like it, where we're learning more about his race and about how he is. So the whole like sensing danger all the time thing with him felt really stupid at the beginning. Fleshing it out, it's better. Where like on his planet, they're not the dominant species. There is a predator species, and that sense has evolved so that they can survive from that predator. And there is this illness that you can get where you either you're either gonna like die a horrible death or hope that you get eaten by the predator, and not the predator, but the predator of the planet, and he ends up going through that, and it feels like a really like coincidental thing in the episode that's happening with everything else that's happening in that episode, but then it ends up being related to the A story, and so that's better than I thought it was going to be. The whole thing is, this season is built around kind of a video game plot where there's these like 7 lights in space and these signals, and we don't know what they're about, and we have to go investigate them, and they have something to do with Spock and this Red Angel thing.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah,
it was you that told me
I
that.
probably
That's
told
like,
you
that's
about
like
it.
a villain?
We don't know what the Red Angel is yet. It's been a real slow burn, and we haven't learned anything, and I'm really sick of all these mysteries that we're setting up that I'm really not that interested in yet, that we haven't started really revealing anything about. Like, it's slow as molasses. It's kind of driving me crazy. We're also still doing way too much Spore Drive stuff, and they keep doing things where it seems like they're gonna set it up to finally take down the Spore Drive and get rid of the whole network thing, and every time they do that, they come up with another reason to keep using it. And this last episode, we did this weird thing where we intentionally have to stick the ship like halfway in the Spore network and halfway out of it, which was a cool looking effect. But we just cannot stay away from that. They are just fascinated by that whole thing, and I'm not. And it doesn't feel like Star Trek, and it's just weird that is there and nobody ever mentions it. But I guess this show has to be set in a different continuity, and if you can watch it that way, it's better. But my main complaint just remains characters not talking like real people, and being mouthpieces for like kind of grandiose ideas where I'm not even sure what the episode's getting at or if it knows that it's getting at anything. But yeah, so like the Red Angel thing is connected to now Burnham's past with Spock. So the idea is when Spock found her, or no, when she, I'm trying to remember how it works. I think Spock, when they're kids, sees the Red Angel, and that somehow like sends him to her, or something. Like, it's just like real convoluted and irritating. The bigger annoying mystery, and that we're making it a mystery because too many of our characters know a thing they're not telling me just for the sake of dramatic effect, is that when they were children, she intentionally did something to make Spock not like her and not want to ever talk to her again. And it's like this real melodramatic, like Sarek didn't like that he was being too influenced by her and being too human, so she felt like she had to like turn him against her on purpose. So she did apparently some kind of like really horrible, unspeakable thing to Spock, and they haven't told us what it is yet. And there's a scene. Well,
she also apparently did something really horrible and unspeakable at the start of the war. And we did see that, and that wasn't anything.
And it actually didn't really... Yeah, that's the thing, is that I don't see how this pays off, and it's satisfying. It could be lame, or it could be like, oh my god, I cannot believe you did that. My buddy Alexi thinks that...
Who's been on the channel?
Yeah, and talk about Discovery. From the very beginning, he's been freaking out, assuming that it was a love affair.
Oh...
And
did she break his heart?
it would be like this show to do something like that. I didn't think of it. I'm still hoping against hope that's not what it is. Not that I'm super invested in this material. I can't tell you why I'm still watching it. I mean, like, I don't like it. It's better than it has been. And that 4th episode I liked better than I have the rest of this. And I like the actor playing Pike a lot. But again, he keeps saying these, like, real ethereal platitudes that just don't sound like a person, and so I'm starting to lose him a little bit. But he's real charismatic, and I like his command style, such as we get it. So I mean, like, it's better, but it's still not good. Anyway, that's all I'm going to say about that for now. I'll talk about it more as it continues. Real quick, Eric, because I need to get requests out of the way. I was thinking about saving this for next time, but I'm so behind on requests. I really need to get this knocked out. So I did watch Misfits from Malik. I watched the first 2 episodes of that show. This is a really mature, violent, vulgar superhero show. I want to say on the BBC. I know it's a British show.
I don't know. I think it's BBC.
I'm not sure if it's BBC. But anyway, it's a British show. It's about these kids who, and by kids I mean like teens into 20s.
Like just post-high school.
Yeah, who all end up getting struck by lightning and get superpowers when they're on probation and doing community service. Or allegedly doing community service. They're not really cooperating. But all these kids have, it's kind of like Orange is the New Black with superpowers, in a way, but like before Orange is the New Black. I mean, they're not in prison, but like they're constantly having to do community service, and they're juvenile delinquents. And I guess it's better that we're doing it that way instead of having them like in a in a prison, or what do you call a prison for teenagers? Juvenile detention. Yeah, because they can go places and do stuff. Some of the powers are interesting. All of the background so far I like a lot. I think it's a good pilot. It's a solid pilot. It gets a lot of stuff done right away, and it makes some of. It's natural how it does this, where we learn more about certain characters than others, just because it doesn't feel like certain backgrounds would have naturally come up yet, whereas certain characters won't talk about themselves yet. You have a real good variety of personalities. I won't go down the line, but like you've got some kids that are more extroverted, some that are more introverted. You have some kids that have done actually like really awful things, and some that were kind of victims of a system. I guess really just the one, right? You got the kid that was an athlete who made one mistake, ruined his whole life. That story, where he got caught with drugs one time, and to make an example of them or of him, he got like the highest possible penalty for that. I like him. He's kind of the most like level-headed and like well-adjusted character, because he should be. He used to be kind of this like locally famous kid. And then you've got the what feels like right now kind of like the main protagonist of the show. Although I don't know as it moves along, because you've watched more of it.
I watched this years ago. I got halfway through season 3 and just kind of gave up because it felt like it wasn't going anywhere. And I've talked to people that finished it. CJ. Because CJ and I were talking about this. I was like, Cap was watching it. I was like, yeah, I dropped off because it didn't feel like it was going where. He goes, it's not going anywhere.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Okay.
There is not a larger arc. There was no mythology. It somehow was made in a way where I felt like there was. And I kept waiting for it. I was like, maybe that's not fair expectation, but like there isn't any.
I mean, if it's just an episodic show where it's not trying to be an ongoing story, that's fine. But from the beginning, it feels like it because of like it doesn't feel like a procedural. It feels like it can kind of have one-off episodes, but it does feel like one evolving story, because you have all these complex characters that need time to develop and grow and change. But you got this kid that kind of feels like sort of the main character who the shtick with him right now is that he doesn't know what his power is, or he doesn't have one somehow, and he's hoping he's going to get a power. He's trying to figure out what it is.
I will say the payoff for his power is amazing. It's the cliffhanger ending of the season, and it's phenomenal.
Does it in any way, like, reflect his personality? Is it that kind of thing? Because a lot of them do. The Invisible Kid is real typical.
And you've seen him before in Humans.
Oh, yes!
He's the evil brother.
I knew I'd seen him somewhere, yeah.
I don't know if it reflects his power in as much as his life is a joke.
Yeah.
And, like...
Yeah.
Are you going to watch more?
I have not decided yet.
Okay.
I'm on the fence.
Okay.
Do you want to tell me?
I do, but...
I don't know. I'm trying to decide if I even want to do spoilers on this, like, because I'm sure a lot of people don't know about the show.
Okay.
Maybe you can tell me later. I think I'm going to go with a don't spoil too much for the audience thing on this.
Sure.
Especially because I only watched the first 2 episodes, and this is a first impressions review, so
because it's not your sensibilities, I just kind of assumed you weren't going to keep watching.
I gotta be honest, I was intrigued enough to maybe give it another go.
Okay.
I was surprised by the story in the second episode with the woman that he's with the girl that he's dating that turns out to actually be an elderly woman who got de-aged. I liked the shock of that. Sometimes it's shock factor for the sake of shock factor. I think that is that too, but it's a really good idea, so I kind of like that. I don't understand it. And that's the thing I'm worried I'm going to get really frustrated about, where it feels like the lightning is arbitrary and kryptonite from Smallville.
Mm-hmm.
And it just does whatever the script wants it to do. I don't know why certain people in the town don't get powers and other ones do. Like, did everyone that has powers get actually struck, or did the lightning just flash and people got powers? I'm having a hard time telling that.
I'm pretty sure it's lightning flash and people got powers.
But our characters actually got hit by it, right?
I think so.
That's what I remember. So that's weird. I'm jumping around, but it has this issue where certain characters will feel like pretty layered and like well drawn, and then all of a sudden, for the sake of the story, they're not anymore. The guard that's watching them at the beginning, I liked how reasonable he was and that he treated these kids like people, and then at some point he kind of just snaps and he doesn't do that anymore. And like, I realized that he turns into a monster, but before that happens, it seems like because the show doesn't want him to be too tragic and it wants us to be okay with him getting killed, like all of a sudden he's just like, I'm so sick of all you people, like you're not treating me right, and then he just turns into an awful person, and I was impressed that he wasn't that, and so that was weird.
Mm-hmm. And if I remember, I really like the theme song. Yeah,
it has a good theme song, but yeah, so the girl that's actually an elderly person in the second episode, she gets de-aged, and then she's sleeping with this kid who is like vulgar. I meant to talk about him earlier. He's like vulgar and awful, like on purpose. Like he's laying it on too thick. He's trying to be like the most juvenile delinquent kid possible. And as we learn more about his home life, he starts to get a little bit more sympathetic. But I still don't buy how far he takes it. That's kind of my big issue with him right now.
I remember liking him a lot.
Okay.
And he's either going to be something or is something, like in something soon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Great. Cool.
Because he's and I were talking about this. He's like, did you know that he's either this or is going to be this? And I was like, no, I didn't. He's something.
I want to start doing the captain's log like that. This one guy, I don't remember his name, but he's going to be in a thing, I think, next year, maybe the year after.
Or maybe he's already been there, and I just found out about it.
Pretty sure its genre might be a TV show, could be a movie, I'm not sure. It is possible it was made already, and I'm mixing it up with something else. What's the next news? I want to do a captain's log like that. Anyway, it's a show I'm intrigued with. I think some of the vulgarity is just kind of just vulgar to be vulgar. It feels a little bit too immature sometimes, and I just don't feel like it needs to go to those places. It does feel like it is more your sensibilities than my sensibilities.
Well, I was much younger when I watched it, so
yeah, it's another one of those things that feels like it's not really for me.
I don't know if I like it as much now as I did when I watched it.
But I'm surprised by how much I'm sympathizing with some of those characters. Mm-hmm. And I like the first season of Orange Is the New Black. I think it's on that level.
Okay.
Certainly, and we are having fun with some of the powers.
I can tell you the big reason to keep watching is that there is an episode where someone has lactokinesis.
Yeah,
they control milk.
That's awesome. But it is disappointing to know that the mythology is not going anywhere, and that it is as arbitrary as it looks. Because I was worried about that. And production values are okay.
Yeah, it looks good for what it is.
Yeah.
It's not exactly Doctor Who, but it doesn't look terrible.
So yeah, not a bad show. I honestly will probably try another couple episodes.
I would at least finish it, because it's only like 6 or 8 episodes, I think.
Oh, is it that short?
Yeah, it's very TV
cool.
seasons. Yeah,
well, I may try. Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, BBC.
Yeah.
Well, it's not too much of an investment then, which is nice.
I would at least get to the end, because I think the payoff at the end of the first season is legitimately really funny.
I may try to revisit it next time, or the time after, because I want to watch it while that's still fresh in my head. But yeah, so this was brief, but I may pick it up again and talk about it again later on. Okay, that's it for Crisis. I said a short Crisis. I always say things. I'm always wrong about things. We're gonna do He Made Me Watch next. Eric made me watch the Chronicles of Riddick, so look forward to our talking about that. And in the meantime, I'm Captain Logan.
I'm Eric.
Thanks again for watching.